Have you ever wondered how a sunken ship in 1912 still influences the safety of your travels today? Have you heard that the largest and most luxurious ship of its time sank on its very first voyage? And did you know that the story of the Titanic still lives on in movies, books, and even international laws, proving it has never truly ended? The Titanic is a name that today symbolizes pride, tragedy, and change. At the dawn of the 20th century, it was hailed as a masterpiece of engineering, promising unmatched safety and luxury. Yet its sinking not only claimed over 1,500 lives, but also forever changed how humanity views technology, hubris, and safety itself. The story began in Belfast, Northern Ireland, where the shipbuilding company Harland and Wolff constructed the Titanic between 1909 and 1912. At that time, Europe was in the middle of industrial rivalry and an age of extravagance, with shipping lines like White Star Line and Cunard competing to attract the wealthy. Measuring 269 meters long and weighing more than 46,000 tons, the Titanic was the largest ship in the world. But what truly set it apart was not just its size, it was the bold claim that it was unsinkable. Ironically, that very confidence in technology paved the way for disaster. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton, England, bound for New York. More than 2,200 people were on board, from billionaires like John Jacob Astor to poor migrants seeking a new life. The ship offered luxuries such as an indoor swimming pool, a gymnasium, a library, and even suites that looked like palace chambers. First-class tickets cost the equivalent of over $4,000 today, while third-class passengers paid only a fraction of that. This sharp divide between classes was visible everywhere, even in the design of staircases and hallways. But on the night of April 14, 1912, the story reached its turning point. While sailing at 22 knots across the North Atlantic, the Titanic struck an iceberg. The collision tore open 5 of its watertight compartments, though the ship could only withstand flooding in 4. In less than 3 hours, the great vessel sank to a depth of nearly 3,800 meters. Out of all those on board, only about 710 survived, while more than 1,500 perished. The numbers are staggering. There were only 20 lifeboats on the ship, when at least 48 were needed for everyone on board. Even worse, some lifeboats were launched half-empty. One lifeboat built for 65 people carried only 28. This shortfall was the result of outdated British laws that calculated lifeboats by ship weight, not passenger numbers. That night, acts of heroism and moments of despair unfolded side by side. The ship's orchestra famously kept playing until the very end, trying to calm the passengers. Captain Edward Smith went down with his ship. Wealthy men like Benjamin Guggenheim gave up their life jackets so that women and children could survive, spending their final minutes in evening dress. Yet confusion and poor crisis management also cost many lives. The story did not end there. Hours after the sinking, the ship Carpathia rescued the survivors, and the news shocked the world. Newspapers described the tragedy as a disaster greater than war. Its impact was immediate. Maritime safety laws were rewritten. In 1914, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea required every ship to carry lifeboats for all passengers. A 24-hour radio watch also became mandatory, since on the night of the disaster, some ships missed distress calls simply because their radios were off. The legacy of the Titanic is both tragic and transformative. On one hand, its sinking shattered blind faith in technology, proving that human pride can lead to catastrophe. On the other hand, the lessons learned made sea travel safer than ever before. Today, every time you board a cruise ship or even a plane, part of the safety rules you follow were born from the Titanic's tragedy. At the same time, the story became part of global culture. Plays, books, and later films kept the memory alive. James Cameron's 1997 movie not only became one of the highest-grossing films in history, but also reignited worldwide fascination with the Titanic and its passengers. Even now, over a century later, submarine expeditions dive to the wreck lying deep in the Atlantic. Each new image or artifact discovery still captures global attention. And if you look at daily life, echoes of this tragedy are everywhere. When flight attendants demonstrate emergency exits with such seriousness, that culture of safety traces back to the Titanic. When you hear about strict international standards for modern cruise ships, those too stem from 1912. Even the phrase "a Titanic moment" has entered our language to describe a fatal mistake or overconfidence. Yet a haunting question remains. Have we truly learned the lessons of the Titanic? Today, humanity builds towering skyscrapers, powerful artificial intelligence, and technologies often described as foolproof or unbreakable. But could our pride once again push us toward another Titanic? Perhaps one day, people of the future will look back on us just as we look back on 1912. What do you think? Has humanity really learned from this historic tragedy? Or will history repeat itself once more? Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us which part of the Titanic's story struck you the most.